Okay guys, review number 1 for the final. Let's go ahead and see about how this one works. Okay? Hopefully this is easy. So what we're going to do is absolute value graphs and piecewise graphs. So first of all, in the absolute value graph, looks like this. We did this in the very beginning of the year. Okay, absolute value of x is a v. It's a straight line, a slope of up 1 over 1. Okay, this particular one is also a v, but it's going to be in a different place. So we know that the inside is the opposite. So the vertex, which is the point, is at -3, 5. So I went to -3, 5. Right there is the vertex. It has a slope of down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. And then we also know, because it's the v, it's the down 1 over 2 like this. Okay, so there's my absolute value graph. Domain is all real numbers. It has to be all real numbers because it's forever wide, all x values. But the range is different because it starts at a height of 5 and goes down. Okay? Now, number 2 is a little bit more difficult because we want to take it and make it into a piecewise graph. So what I did is, first, the 2 pieces are connected here. Okay? So to make this into a piecewise graph, the 2 pieces are connected here at x equals -3. So I have 2 lines, line 1 and line 2. Line 1 using y equals mx plus b. Line 1 is up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, okay? Up 1 over 2x. And if I kept drawing it, it would cross the y-axis at 7.5, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5, okay? So that's the equation for line 1. Line 2 is just the opposite. It's down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, so it has a slope of down over 2. It crosses the y-axis at 3.5. Okay, now f of x and y are the same thing. I do not need to write y twice. I write f of x, which represents both of them. So I've got y, or f of x, equals a 1/2 x plus 7.5, and the other one is a y, or a f of x, equals the -1/2 x plus 3.5. Now, they're connected. Here's where the borderline is. They're connected at -3. Graph 1 goes back from x is less than -3. Graph 2 goes forward as far as x is greater than or equal to -3. Now the equal could go on either one. We just decided to put it on graph 2 because you have to include that point. So you need an equal sign here or here to include that point. Okay? All right, now if I turn the page, here's another piecewise graph. So to graph this piecewise graph, the first thing I did was I put in the borderlines. The borderlines are at -3. I got a borderline at -1. I got a borderline at 2. And I got a borderline at 6. Okay? I have 1, 2, 3 different spaces or regions to put the pieces. So I'm going to put the first piece in this first region. The first piece is y equals 2x plus 5. That's my first equation. So my first piece, to get it in, I have a y-intercept of 5. I go up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to graph it in as down 2 over 1, down 2 over. So if I graph the whole thing in here like this, here's my line, except this line only exists within this region. That's its first piece. I erase all the other parts of the graph that are not in this first region. Y equals 3 is a horizontal line. Okay, y equals 3 is a horizontal line. I can graph all of that across the horizontal at 3, but I only want this graph within this region. That's my second piece. So I erase all the rest of it and I'll have this piece of it. Okay? Graph number 2 starts at 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and goes down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, graph it in, but this piece only exists in here. Okay? So I erase all the other. Here's my graph. I've got 1, 2, 3 pieces from these 3 graphs within these regions. Okay, now f of -2. Well, how do we do that? We go to -2 right there. See -2 right there? And the answer is its y value, which is 1. F of 0, we go right there. What's its y value? 3. F of 4 is right there. What's its y value? 2. Okay? Finally, domain and range. Domain is how wide it is. This graph goes from -3 all the way across to 6. So -3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 6. That's the domain. The range is the height, or how tall it is. It starts at a height of -1 and goes up to a height of 3. That's the range. So we got -1 is less than or equal to y, which is less than or equal to 3. That is the range. Okay? Hopefully you understand this and you can do this on the final.